Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today I am going to give you a brief introduction regarding the English tenses. Now, first of all, let's try to define this tense. What tense means? Tense, it is a grammatical category to indicate the relationship between the form of the verb and the time reference of an action or event. I can write here a grammatical category to indicate the relationship between the form of the verb and the time reference of an action or event. So simply we can say tense shows the relationship between the form of the verb and the time reference of an action or event. Now, there is the concept, and it is as well mentioned in some grammar books, that there are three tenses in English. So there is the concept, there are three tenses in English. One is present tense, another is past tense, and third is future tense. Then we say present tense shows present time and past tense shows past time and future tense shows future time. We will try to find out whether we are correct when we say that whether we are correct or not when we say that there are three tenses in English, that is present tense, past tense and future tense. Let's take some examples. If I write here the verb, for example, I will write here the sentence, we go to school daily. Now here, in this sentence, the verb is go, and we know this is the present form of the verb. So this go, this is the present form of the verb. Now if I want to change this into past form, I can write, for example, we went to school yesterday. Now go is the present form and went is the past form of this verb go. Now, if there is an action, so the second form is went. Now, if there is an action that is expected to take place in future, then we have to write here the future form of this verb. Then should I write gone? The answer is no, because gone is the past participle form of this verb. Then should I write going? No, the answer is no, because going is again the present participle form of this verb. So it appears, it looks, it becomes clear that there is no separate form for this future. So when we want to express future, this is just, we can conclude this is just the concept of time. So future is just the concept of time. If we want to express this future time, and the commonest way to express this future time is we use will and shall. But you have to remember, my dear students, that will and shall, they are the modal verbs. They are not the markers of future tense. And we use other ways to express this future time. For example, we use be, going to form. Even we use present progressive to express this future time, and we use various other forms to express this future time. So we can safely conclude that there are only two tenses in English, that is present tense and past tense. Why there are only two tenses in English? Because there is no separate future form for future form of the verb that can correspond to present tense and past tense. Now the question arises, what is then time? Now the question arises, what is time? As I have mentioned in the definition, that tense shows the relationship between the form of the verb and the time reference of an action or event. Now naturally the question arises, what is time? This time, it is a non-linguistic concept. So this is a non-linguistic concept. Non-linguistic concept. Or we can say, this time, it is not a grammatical category. It is not a grammatical term. Not a grammatical term. Because it has nothing to do with the form of the verb. Nothing to do with the form of the verb. So we can say, this time, this is a non-linguistic concept. Or we can say, it is not a grammatical term because it has nothing to do with the form of the verb. And on a linear scale, we can divide this time into three types. We can divide this time into present time, past time, and future time. Now there is one more aspect, tense and time. Now we know that tense usually shows the time of an action or event. It shows the time of an action or event. But more often, there is no correspondence between tense and time. Tense means between the form of the verb. There is no correspondence. Between tense and time. That means between form of the verb and the time of an action or event. Now, let's take some examples in order to illustrate this, whether there is any direct correspondence between tense and time or not. Now let's take some examples. The sun rises in the east. Now in this sentence, if we closely look at this sentence, the verb is in present. Then present should show the present time. Past should show us the past time. But here what we find? What is the time reference in this sentence? The sun rises in the east. This is the present form of the verb. Then it must show the present time. But this, it is true. It holds true for present, past and future. So we can say there is the mention of present time, past time and future time. Or in a nutshell we can say there is not the mention of any definite time. There is no particular time mentioned in this sentence. No particular time. Another example. He leaves for Delhi next week. Again in this sentence, the verb is in present, but the time, it shows future time. He leaves for Delhi next week. It shows future time. Now another example. If a lion appeared, now notice this verb is in past form, then it must show us the past time. But what time does it show? If a lion appeared, all would flee. It shows future time. The verb is in past, but it shows future time. Another example we can take. You will have heard the news. Now, I told you earlier, in order to express future time, we use this will and shall. But here, let us suppose this is the future. But what time is mentioned in this sentence? Past time. You will have heard the news, past time. Or we can say past possibility is mentioned in this sentence. Now, today, we learned these four things. Number first, this tense, it is a grammatical category to indicate the relationship between the form of the verb and the time reference of an action or event. Number second, what we learned, there are only two tenses in English, that is present tense and past tense. Or English verbs have only two tenses, that is present and past. And there is no future tense in English because there is no separate verb form to which we can say this is the future form of the verb, and we can express this future time by various ways. And number third, this time, this is a non-linguistic concept. It has nothing to do with grammar, and it can be divided into three types: present time, past time, and future time. And last, tense usually shows the time, but more often there is no correspondence between tense and time, between the form of the verb and the time of an action. Then these examples, they illustrate this. In the next video, we shall discuss in detail present, past, and the forms which express future time. Thank you.